Typically, like I mentioned earlier, I'm quite a geek for business models and
Yes.
enterprises. And one that I've never been able to understand has been the business of food.
Okay.
Now, people often say it's a very volatile space. People often say, don't invest in restaurants. That's the way to go broke. People often say it's a passion business.
It is.
But what exactly and how is it really? First of all, is that true? And how have you been able to maintain stability? Because I mean, you're telling me one truck better than that truck. So I'm trying to understand that if it's not making money, why is it better than that truck?
Yes, exactly.
Is it something else that we don't understand?
All right. I mean, the business of food is something I teach because I have first-hand experience.
I think you have a course here.
Yes, I have first-hand experience, and it is true. It can be very volatile, and again, it's very saturated. There's no type of food you want to sell that someone is not selling, and someone cannot get into the business and outsell you. There's no type of food you want to sell. You understand? And people just tend to put food into one bracket. Whereas there are different types of restaurants, different kinds of food businesses you can do. So it's volatile, yes, but it can be very rewarding. And when people say don't invest in restaurant business, then why are so many restaurants opening? Every day you see a new restaurant opening. Why? Which means it can be done right. The problem with most people is passion is important, but passion is not enough.
Okay.
Yeah. So people focus on, I'm a very passionate chef. I'm passionate about the restaurant business, and they go in it with passion. But then beyond passion, there's the business side, which you have to be very unemotional about. You cannot be using emotions to buy your stock. I like this. Let me just buy it. You found something that you cannot sustain. They've got octopus all of a sudden in this supermarket. You've gone to buy it and put it on your menu. Hello, tomorrow they say there's no octopus because it was imported and the duties have gone up. They're not importing it again. What happens to your menu? So people tend to use emotions to when there's too much passion. So yes, you can have passion, but give yourself brain and think, this one is not going to work. And a lot of people don't do the maths. They just price things anyhow. They don't do their margins correctly. They don't do their costing correctly. So they end up thinking they are making a profit, but they're just making cash flow. So there's a lot of cash going through the business, but at the end of the day, a lot of that cash coming in is just going out. So they end up not being profitable. But for me, the model of Truck Central and why one truck was able to birth the second was because the reason I chose food truck in the first place is because it's less management. In the sense that if you open a restaurant now, I'll tell you for a fact that my Red Gourmet truck does more sales than most restaurants.
Most brick and mortar restaurants.
Yes, because one, if you want to own a restaurant, first of all, you pay rent for the space. Yes, let's say I'm paying rent, even though it's tied in. You pay rent for the space. You have to do some renovations. You have to buy furniture for people to sit. You have to hire waiters, which I don't need. I need less staff because it's such a small space. You just have to learn to manage your space very well. You understand? So, you can have only 4 people working on the truck, whereas there's hardly any kitchen, a restaurant's kitchen that you can have 4 people working in. There's no way. Because you need someone doing prep, you need someone washing dishes, you need maybe 2 chefs here, 2 assistant chefs, pastry chef. No, you don't need all that. It's a food truck. It's such a small space. So less electricity being used, less water being used, less everything being used, but your turnover can be the same as the restaurant. So that's why I chose it. So, and for me, most of my businesses I've been able to do by compounding. I would starve myself for a bit. When I say starve myself, live as quietly and lowly as possible. No,
put your overhead low.
Exactly. So try as much as possible to live very minimalist so that the business can then save enough money to pump into something else. Now, the problem with most Nigerians is we don't know how to be conservative. As soon as the money starts coming in, that's when we want to ball. Hey, we want to do this, we want to buy this, we want to buy that, new car, new this. So for me, it was about, by the time if I wait 6 months, and that's how rewarding the food business is, or food business can be. If you can be conservative and you can take a step back and take a good look at it, if you save for 6 months, you can use that money to set up another one.
Wow.
And that's what I did. I took nothing. And it's always been my story. Red Dish, 6 years it took me before I could get a salary from Red Dish. I took nothing from it. And that's why we're able to grow organically. from one branch to another to another.
And then you now applied 6 months. You went from 6 years to 6 months on the truck.
Exactly. So, I mean, by the time you get it right, especially with food is it's a turnover business. You're constantly buying and reselling stuff. You're making stuff, you're selling. It's a lot easier to make a more certain profit. I know for a fact that, a month, this is how much I'll make, and I know how much roughly the profit, minus Nigeria being Nigeria, the economy and all of that. I know roughly, if I sell this month, I know how much of it is pure profit.
And do you have technology systems that you put in place?
Oh, yes. For me, I'm a technology guy. And if there's no technology that exists, I will build it somewhere. So everything for us is tied into a point of sale system that is tied to the back end. So if they bring in a carton of chicken, the system knows how many portions of chicken you're going to get from that. And if there's any errors anywhere, it will tell us that, okay, you guys should have 6 portions of chicken left. If the staff is saying there's none left, there's a problem. What happened to the 6 portions that are supposed to be left?
So the POS system is kind of tied to the inventory system?
Yeah, it's tied to the inventory system. So as soon as you buy it, it feeds in. And every time they sell one, it will take it out of the inventory.
Is that a solution you sell to other businesses?
It is actually one I teach, because the system
it's
itself...
more of teaching than even...
Yes, it's more of teaching, because the system is available for free. The point of sale system I use is open source, so it's available for free. It's just about people knowing about it, because people just don't know, and they don't know how to use it. So
So there's the knowledge that's required to make it work for you the way it's supposed to work for you.
Especially
kind of like ChatGPT.
Yeah, exactly, like the inventory side of it, managing your inventory and knowing how to put it in correctly and whatnot.
But then, I think the model of trucks and the fast rising concept of ghost kitchens.
Yes.
How does that differ?
All right. So the thing about ghost kitchens is this, yeah. Now it works for some, I would imagine, but for me, I'm not a big fan of it.
Why?
Simply because I've seen a lot of people that have tried to create the ghost kitchen concept and it hasn't worked, especially for the small businesses. Now, for a ghost kitchen, the way it works is this: you go and rent a space in this ghost kitchen, and you cook, and then they take the order. Someone orders through maybe a general platform or your individual platform, but a percentage of whatever you make has to go to the ghost kitchen.
Yes.
You understand? So for you as a business, you're going to struggle in a competing market with a food truck that is just a standalone, has their own image. They have a physical location that you can go to and buy the food. There's something about, you knowing that something is right here, as opposed to it's in the cloud. It's somewhere. We don't know where it is, but they're advertised on socials or whatever it is on media or websites, but it's food. So it's nice for you to be able to go one day. Imagine I order every day from somewhere. One day I want to still go there and be like, today, let me just drive there and see the cooking and see what's going on. So that's the beauty of a food truck. The fact that you can see the cooking going on, you can see what's happening, you can see that it's a real place. I think for me, will always win over the ghost kitchen concept.
Because of that physical concept.
Yes.
Do you think it's a cultural thing?
It's food. It is. I mean, even abroad, why are there so many storefronts when it comes to food? If you look at a McDonald's, and they're very big on their storefronts. Can you imagine McDonald's working as a cloud kitchen without the storefronts, without the physical people knowing, how it's being done and seeing the back end and all of that? Just as a storefront, you've just come up as a McDonald's concept. We're on the cloud. There's something about food, and food is a very, very physical thing. And it's always nice to be able to see the physical.
And you don't think... Well, you don't think it's something that has to do with only us here, like it's not in Nigeria?
It's not just a Nigeria thing. I think, yes, some countries do better than others in terms of the cloud kitchen concept, but I think generally around the world, storefronts will always be there when it comes to food. Always. And they always do better.
I mean, recently there's been the talk about luxurifying Nigerian delicacies, right?
Yes.
Nigerian street food, from turning gari and okra into fancy dishes, is it something that you feel, because I mean, the question usually most of the time people ask is, I mean, things we take like shawarma and the rest are not really local
They are
dishes.
not for us, no.
They are mostly imported.
Yes.
This thing. I mean, we now funkify it to our own palates because then again, now when we now travel, we taste it in other places. Like,
this
this
is not
thing
nice.
is not this is not the shawarma I was expecting.
Exactly.
You know, what do you think about the fact that also we've not been able to travel our food as much as possible? Do you think it's a thing of palate, or do you think it's the way we've been preparing it? What do you think is stopping that?
Exactly. So
That
you gave a
crossover.
good example, which is the shawarma.
Yeah.
Now shawarma has made its way from the Mediterranean countries
Culture,
to
yeah.
Nigeria. But guess what? When it got to Nigeria, what happened? It had to change. It had
Shawarma
to evolve a
had
little bit.
pepper.
Now our problem is when we take our food outside of Nigeria, we believe that it has to be the way we do it, and they should accept it. It's not their palates. A typical French man will eat our jollof rice and want to die. The pepper is too much. What is all of these spices? But there's a way you can cook it and tone it down in a way that you can actually taste the flavors without pepper. Do you understand? So I think for me, again, just the same way you use the shawarma example, bringing shawarma in and obviously changing it to fit our palates. If we are taking our food outside of Nigeria, then we want to make sure that we adjust it enough for the country. Otherwise, it will never really be accepted. That's the truth.
I mean, the whole jollof wars
Yes.
around, they'll get a lot of people to taste jollof. You know, people are, I think jollof is trending right now.
Yes, jollof has been trending for a bit. And I think Nigerian food or African food in general is up next in the center stage. I feel like, Asian food has had a lot of spotlight. And I don't think there's anywhere you go in the world where you will not find Indian food, Chinese food, some Japanese food, at least.
Yeah.
You understand?
Typically, I think when I travel, something I try to do is I try to, like, especially when I travel to places I don't like, them in America or any place, I just
You just
find
focus on the Chinese
or the Indian because I feel like
that it's going to be. And the funny thing about Chinese food or Indian food is, even in these countries, they change it a little bit. If you were to go to China and try to eat Chinese food in China, you will feel like it's not very tasty. It's not very nice.
Oh, really?
Yes, because when it comes to Nigeria, again, because they know that Nigerians like certain things, they change it a little bit. And it's the same as Chinese food in the UK or the US. It's slightly different because of the market.
So you think that's where we're missing it?
That is where the problem is. We tend to be stuck in our ways and say, this is how it is.
This is how they do it. It's not the original one.
If you find most African or Nigerian restaurants in the UK or anywhere else, you find that it's mostly Nigerians that are coming there to dine. Apart from the few adventurous foreigners that will come and try it once or twice, naturally it's Nigerians that are there. But if you go to a Chinese restaurant, you see every kind of race eating the food because, again, it cuts across. You understand? But we have decided that we'll serve jollof rice. We want it to be like the jollof rice at home. I understand because of the Nigerians, but if you want to go international, then you have to open it up to other markets. And, that's where we're getting it wrong.
I mean, so you've built a successful business around, you've built a successful business as a restaurant, as a chef, and also as a businessman, walking around, having food trucks, having food brands, restaurants, private dining. I mean, really high level and also
Something for everyone.
Something for everyone. I mean, what informed that thinking of having something for everyone and having something high level luxury?
Okay, so I think as a chef, naturally you're inclined to want to feed people and get people to experience your food. Now, if you can only feed or you can only show your food to the rich and famous, then yes, you're a chef, you're all of that for the rich and famous. But you see, the millions of people, the general public, which is a lot of the markets, cannot experience your food. And as a chef, that limits you. So for me, I'd rather know that, I have both ends of the spectrum met. In the sense that, you can go to Red Gourmet and still eat Chef Stone's food, even though you cannot afford to do the $1,000 dinner. And the people that want the high-level experience can do the 1,000 naira dinner and everybody is happy.
And what do you think is the greatest mistake most chefs are making right now, or people, restaurant business people are making, and they just keep making, that you feel like, hey, let me shake you off, guys, stop doing this thing?
Okay. I think in the restaurant scene generally, I mean, I think a lot of people they focus too much on the ambience and the aesthetics of spaces. You know, I know that Instagram is a thing. People want to be Instagram.
Yes, I think right now we want to go where there's fire, there's
exactly where they do some kind of
something is flying.
theatrics.
Yes, we like the
Yes,
theatrics.
which is all well and good. But you know what? The reason you're opening, I do a lot of consultation, and the problem is most people call me at the wrong time. So they've already built a kitchen without knowing what they want to sell, the kind of food. They might have a general idea that, oh, I saw this place when I went to Paris, I want this kind of food. But there's no menu, there's nothing. You've bought equipment, you've set up a kitchen, you've just gone to an equipment seller and say, you know what, I want to build a kitchen. And the guy just sold you as much of his stuff as it can push on you.
Yeah.
Filled up the place, you've entered the kitchen and it looks full. But you know what, all this equipment you bought, they're useless. Because when we do your menu eventually, you can't use this, there's no need. You've bought these things we cannot use. So I think people who don't focus on the food, they focus too much on the aesthetics and the theatrics and the display. And to be honest, that's not food. At the end of the day, it's not food.
I mean,
Focus on the food. Yeah. When your food is great, you can build the aesthetics around it. After that, you can grow to somewhere bigger. You can grow to do more. But focus on the food first. Make sure you have a good.
so it all starts with the menu.
It starts with the menu. You should, when you think restaurants, yeah, before you even think of the name you want to name your restaurant, you got to focus on the menu and know what you want to serve.
You say it all starts from the menu.
It does.
It all starts from the menus. Instead of me going to say, I want to start a restaurant, let me go and buy equipment.
Exactly.
I should first of all say, okay, do I understand this business?
Yes. What kind of food am I going to sell? You know, and then build everything around that food. So let's say, for example, you decide that, you know, my strength is in doing local food. How do I build? I want a fancy local food place, yeah?
Yeah.
Instead of just building and building. Okay, let's get the food right first.
Okay.
How are we going to present it in a way that, you know what, we're charging premium for this. Why are we charging premium? How do we present it to look good? And how do we make sure it tastes good so that we can build a space that also matches that? But people do it the other way around. They build first and they worry about the food at the end.
So what I'd like if, for example, I was going to start a restaurant business and I say, okay, I want to start a restaurant business, what are the key things that I must say that you would tell me, like, what's the first place to start? Must I be a chef?
No, you mustn't be a chef. And I find that most chefs make bad restaurant business owners.
Really? Why?
Too much passion. And when you have too much passion, a lot of things that you should be sensible about, you're not. You want it to have this, I want it to have this, I want it to have this. At what cost? Do you understand? So I find that, you know, if you're a chef, if you're a passionate chef, you want to open a restaurant, partner with someone that has the business acumen, someone that has the knowledge, someone that can be shrewd and not allow your passion. I have a partner in Lagos
Really?
with the school. Yes,
I never knew that.
I know. It's been there with me from day one. Yes, his name is Muyiwa. He's the only person that believed when I said I wanted to start a school. Everyone else was like, I must be stupid. He's the only one that believed in it. So he's been my partner since then, yes.